Holy macaroni.
Everything is ready.
Ronies that are holy. Holy ronies. Ugh. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm. Okay, well, ona gadiwa hikajokwa, so what I don't see us nyardi. Gazit na video yujets kahawi noje on dudget squain star on ta roni. Retinu wada do gorunga gari agessen, yet the sota as a tanka garokwa. Yetin stazi hun zagi dan agwe guskat ne ganungwe. Retinu wada do so weird and it kunton hatsuret gawis agwe zani ganyer to the gerdo dan akwe aquadzre onuka suma. Retinu wada do. Yet die sota gunha ner do na de hetsten e gonna go hier de hawe koi dam dawe adon hetsera gazat stansera ne ganungwe dam dawe adon hetsera gazat stansera ne asat ni got dardige ne ganyanga hager da dinato ronata roni dan riskadewage dan dam dawe adun hetsera adun gatsera Aguero na goro gana rasta go na skana ori huio ori chansera dana gazat stansera Reter do yeti sota gunhan nerdo na da hetsten gani guri da di hawakwe dam dawi adon hetsera yorakwa ne wiskni hunzage Gayandawana ne gani guri. As you know, every time we get together for council meeting, ceremony, anything of importance, we always have to carry out a Honda Gadi Wadekwa first. This is where we identify and give thanks to the things within creation that have created us and the things that we need to continue to sustain us. So we always begin by giving our thanks to the great spiral of creation. When you look up into the nighttime sky, you're not looking into cold, dark, empty, lifeless space the way that non-native science would lead you to believe. No, instead you are looking into the living, vibrant body of our great mother. And so we give thanks to her, to Sky Woman, as it is she who has given us spirit. From there, we give our thanks to the beating heart of our Mother Earth, to Grandma Moon. It's she who regulates the flow of the lifeblood in all things. And so we give thanks to her, to Grandma Moon, as it is she who has given us blood. From there, we give our thanks to our Mother Earth, regardless of what color you are, what language you speak, where you've grown up from Mother Earth, or more than ever today, what you imagine divides us. Regardless of these things, we all come from the same mother, making us all one family, sisters, brothers, all relations all together. And so we give thanks to her, to Mother Earth, as it is she who has given us body. From there, we give our thanks to all the women, from the newest born baby girl to the eldest grandmother, as they carry the sacred title of life giver into the world and are to be honored and respected as such. We give thanks to them, for in this world, they give us purpose and direction. From there, we give our thanks to the spirit that connects all living things together, that connects, when you think of your human body, what connects your little toe to your little pinky? What connects your liver to your eyeballs? What connects your hair to your skin, and so on, that keeps the whole body connected to each other, that are all functioning within one body, doing a vast array of things, but all for one purpose. And so this spirit, what we identify that connects all these living things together, a kinship, it is Sawyerda, how we identify it, and that we give thanks to this the spirit that has given all of us life, that has put us here in this world that is so beautiful that we just live in amazement every day, that there is something amazing every day to be thankful for, to give thanks for, to enjoy, to love, to live within. And you think of what the possibilities could be. The possibilities could be living anywhere else in the waterverse where this does not happen. This, which is here on Earth, does not happen on Mars. It doesn't happen in Jupiter or Saturn or anywhere else within our solar system. And it doesn't happen anywhere else as far as we can tell so far. Going by studying other galaxies and star systems, that it seems to be just here on Earth, just here in our solar cell, where this kind of life takes place. Now, of course, everywhere else, wherever there is anything, there is life there. There's life on Jupiter, there's life on Mars, there's life on Saturn, there's life everywhere throughout our solar system. If there is something that is physically there, then that is alive, and it has gotten there through a living process that is ageless, that you can't say it's been here for 10 years. It's been here for 10 billion years, 10 bazillion years. There's no way that you can put an actual date and time on it, because it's relevant to the thing that is identifying the time frame. So here on Earth, we might be saying that, well, according to our understandings, our perceptions, that time, maybe if we're looking at another planet, we could say, oh, it's taken 500 million years for something to happen. That's relevant to our perceptions. But there, within that realm of that other thing, that 500 million years, what would that mean? What would that time frame or that concept be to that other thing in another galaxy, in another solar system, on another planet, around another sun? That what would it mean for our perception to say you've been there only for 5 billion years? When, according to its own perceptions, it might be maybe that its concept of a cycle of a year might be much longer than ours or much shorter than ours, and therefore then whatever its perception is of its own lifespan would be distorted by our perception. And so when we put perceptions upon things that are out there to say that they're this or they're that, they've been here this long, they've been here that long, then of course we are doing an injustice to it, and we are preventing ourselves from actually understanding it, because we're putting up, you'd say, like a knowledge barrier. Yeah, let's say a knowledge barrier as to that this is the confines or restrictions to comprehending it, that it's within this set of restrictions, this knowledge barrier. So it would prevent us from actually comprehending things in the proper way. Now, of course, this isn't just something that I'm identifying about how we perceive other solar systems, other galaxies, other solar systems, galaxies, every other part of the waterverse. The way that we perceive it, does it have those restrictions upon it? No. Those restrictions that we place upon it are not even real restrictions. Say, for instance, like the concept today, when you think of 5 billion years, well, you think of 5 billion years as 365 days times 5 billion. So you think of right off the bat that the concept of a year, 365 days, your concept of it right now is it's divided into 12 months, and those 12 months have erratic parameters, that they're not all uniform, and they're not all the same from within a natural cyclical motion of Mother Earth. No, these are false man-made concepts of the false concept right now that of time. Of course, that's Gregorian, and Gregorian is rooted into religion, false religious beliefs. And even if however anybody wants to look at it, like Gregorian, to say that it's a Roman perception, well, people might say that, well, the Romans didn't have a religious belief, that they actually stole those religious beliefs from other pagan pagan beliefs, mindsets. So the perception that is there right now, that is colonized the entire world and putting this false perception of time in everybody's mind, is religious based. It's based within a religion, within a belief, because a religion is not fact. A religion is beliefs. Now, you have heard recently of a belief system that is actually wreaking havoc upon the world, of the United States, of their readaptation of the Monroe Doctrine from a couple of hundred years ago. And as you know, we spoke about this enough, that the Monroe Doctrine isn't anything in fact or rooted in science. It's rooted in a belief system. And a belief system is not something that is factually based. And so right now, today, here on Earth, a belief system is what's behind the impetus of wars raging around the world right now. And even if you don't want to view them as wars, even though the United States calls them wars, like the war on drugs, which is somehow the war against Venezuela, and which is overlapped to be the war on Cuba, and which very soon, or what we have already seen start to come to the surface, is it's also a war on Mexico. It's a war on everybody within this hemisphere through the Monroe Doctrine, because when you consider what the Monroe Doctrine is, it's a belief system to take all the energy from all the so-called countries, colonial outposts here in Turtle Island, North and South, and to funnel all of that energy through one entity, which is Britain, through the Golden Mile in Britain. And so that is what is now waging war in Venezuela, waging war on Cuba, waging war and everywhere throughout so-called South America, Central America, into Mexico, and even into the north. It's pushing into so-called Canada. And as everybody knows, it's pushing into what's the name of the place? Greenland. So a belief system, which is a false belief system, is creating war all around the earth. Now, you might not say it's a war on Cuba because you don't see any missiles being dropped on Cuba, but there is different types of weaponry that are being utilized today, since we know that we are now within the reality of artificial intelligence controlling and waging military war in the world. So artificial intelligence is now manipulating all 8 billion people, or 9 billion, however much there is on Mother Earth, through belief systems, through false belief systems. Well, these false belief systems are also what's establishing, like I said, about the false perceptions of the waterverse, of whatever they're looking at out there. So what that's culminating into is a perception of space colonization. Now, these religious beliefs here on Earth have manifested into colonization. And that colonization has taken 500 years for it to get to a point of where it's like not really gone full circle, but where it's exposed, where people can see the truth and the ugliness of what it actually is, where now people, non-native people, white people, are starting to scratch their head and say, hey, there's something wrong with this system, something wrong with the things, the way that they've been living for white people for thousands of years. But here in Turtle Island, they've only had this here for a little more than 500 years. And so here, the original people still have a clear vision or a clear perception of the white man's colonization to know truly what it is. Now, when we say this, the native people, the original people, it's not all native people who have a clear vision of it. If we think here, just here in Ganawagi, I'll guarantee you that there's like the imbalance is like 98% to 2%, if that, if not 1% or 0.5% even, as to the way the scales are tilted. Because right now here in Ganawagi, I'll guarantee you that everybody is against Iran. I could imagine them already talking in the Legion Hall here in Ganawagi, already somebody getting drunk there and saying, yeah, bomb the hell out of those goddamn Iranians. Bomb the hell out of Iran. They're nothing but our enemy. And these are supposed Mohawks. What the hell would a Mohawk know about Iran being our enemy? When, wait a minute, Iran is just part of the people that are here. There's Japanese people here. There's Sudanese. There's white people, Europeans. Everyone from around the world is here in a colonization process. So you know what? All of those people are all of our enemies. Not just to say Iran, but the people who are sitting in the Legion getting drunk and saying, yeah, bomb the hell out of Iran, yeah, they're our enemies or whatever. These are people who are indoctrinated through religion to kiss the white man's ass, be slave to the white man. And they join the white man's military and they go and fight for the white man's military. And they got these people filling the band system, working in the band system. So what you got here today is a bunch of lost people who claim to be natives who are waging war on behalf of the white man against anyone and anything that the white man says is their enemy. And so to these simple little minds here in Ganawagi who are dumb enough to join a white man's military, they're gung-ho 100% that Iran is our enemy. Well, you know what? Those so-called natives that have joined the white man's military, they are our enemy. And so our enemy is saying that Iran is our enemy when the white man is our enemy. And the white man, in his religious wars, fighting for thousands of years, anything that he is doing is enemy to creation. Okay, so the reason why I'm saying this is because today the white man's insanity of continuous wars, that something else just came out today about it being religious war, where I don't know if Angel, are you there, or Edith, or one of you's there? Did I
Yeah,
send
we're both there.
did I send you something in the LGN a while ago in Messenger? I'm not sure if I did. If I did, can you draw it up or just can you tell me what it is, what it gives reference to?
I'm scrolling right now and I don't think you sent anything today, except not long ago.
Microbes.
No?
Something about microbes.
Okay, that yeah, we're gonna draw that up next. Okay, then I'm gonna give me a minute. I'm gonna share something from my page that is in the news now today. By now, I'm sure everybody has seen it. But give me a second here. Ba-da-ba-dee-ba-da-ba-da-ba. Okay. Share. How do I share now? Okay. I can't share. You gotta give me the ability to
Done.
share.
It's done now. You just retry it.
Okay, so this is the post that I shared. and I just posted, could this be true? Okay, I can't see this because of the damn thumbnails here. Okay, so I'm just going to read this. This is insane. Military commanders told troops Trump was anointed by Jesus to start the apocalypse in Iran. According to over 200 complaints since Saturday, the Military Religious Freedom Foundation has been flooded with complaints from service members in every branch of the armed forces. Okay, I'm not going to go on to read it. You are getting the gist of what it says. Since I seen this afternoon, there are other things, and this guy also is talking. I think he's a senator. He's talking about it, so it must be true to some degree. Even though, like the post that I shared, I'm asking, can anybody confirm this? No, I know myself that it's most likely true. But before we go on most likelies, we gotta know, or we gotta find out from people who may know firsthand. So anybody who knows any people in the military who may have heard this, or are we just being fed another crock of lies? Because everything is just lies, 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 lies. You can't trust a single thing now coming from the white man's world. All of it is a lie. All of it is mixed with lies and a little bit of truth. So they'll wrap it in a little bit of truth so you believe it, but then they'll put a lie in there to get you to doubt it. And then later on you find out that, well, it wasn't true. And then you discover that there's some truth to it, and then most of it isn't true. What does this do when you hear that about information? There's some truth to it, and then most of it isn't true. Look, what is this? Let's look at something personal to wrap our mind around the what I'm getting at here. When somebody tells you something that is partially true, but then shrouded in lies to misdirect you, to deflect you away from the truth, but yet there's some truth said to it. What does this do to you? What effects does it have? What's the psychological effects? Well, here we're thinking of this information, of course, so our mind is tainted or hard to comprehend this. So just think, if somebody's telling you something, let's make it personal. Somebody tells you, what would the most personal thing be? Oh, somebody tells you that they love you, but they have ulterior motives. You hearing that they love you, you think, okay, love. Yeah, and that might get you to say back to them, I love you too. And once a person says that, you know that once you utter those words, I love you, then you know that this is like a contract. It's like something then that binds you, like a responsibility there. So somebody tells you that and it's not true, there's ulterior motives, so it tricks you into thinking, yeah, love, okay, yeah, I love you, and then whatever else. But then to find out that there's an ulterior motive, then of course, maybe all of us have knowledge of something like that. But if you don't, like maybe it's because you're too young right now, or maybe you just haven't experienced yet, but we know that on that personal level, that something like that could be devastating, that it could debilitate you, and it could even cause people to go as far as to cause bodily harm to themselves, even push somebody to suicide. Knock on wood that something like that doesn't happen, but we know that things such as that does happen. So the thing that I'm pointing out here is that the fact that we don't know today now any longer if there's truth. You could be watching somebody standing there and telling you something, and you could know some information that you could deduce, like it sounds factual, but you can't tell now if they're lying to you. If it is all factually based, or as if there's just one tiny little thing that's thrown in there as an addition or as a takeaway from it that you wouldn't detect unless you heard all the details, unless you knew all of the facts. So right now, what we're hearing and what we're seeing is just one lie perception, and it's the white man's lie of the United States of America, that it's their lie that is being told. What is their lie? Their lie is that it's a religious war, that it's like to say, if there's truth to what is written there, to say that Donald Trump was anointed by Jesus. Well, wait a minute. If Donald Trump was anointed by Jesus, then why would Donald Trump be killing everybody on behalf of the Jews? Because I highly doubt if Jesus would have anything to do with the Jews, because the Jews are the ones that killed him. So when Donald Trump says, or it's projected that he's anointed, that it's a religious war and he's anointed by Jesus, you automatically think, okay, it's Jesus. It's a Christian-based war. It's a Christian crusade, a continuation of the Crusades. Well, is it? If he's fighting and killing everybody on behalf of the Jews, then that's not Christianity. And if the entire US military is going war in a religious war, and I guess we got cut off, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know where we got cut off from. But yeah, okay. So if they're claiming now that this war on Iran is a religious war, that it comes from thousands of years ago, and you're fighting in the US military, and let's say you're not a Christian. Let's say you're Muslim, a lot of Muslims in the US military, a lot of Protestants, a lot of whoever else, I don't know what other kind of stupid man-made religions there are. They're all members of them in the US military. So if it is now a religious war and you are not of that religion, now what you have is, for the first time within the short history of the United States of America, you have now legal justification as to why any soldier could refuse to fight within the war or the skirmish, whatever. Because if it's a religious war and you are not of that religion, then that is not your war. And especially in the United States of America, that it claims that church and state is to be separated, meaning whether it's church or whatever else, mosque or whatever else they're called, in all these stupid man-made religions. I don't know what they call what are they called for the Jews? The not a church.
Temple?
Temple. Okay. Yeah, so if you are not one of those things, and the United States says a separation of church and state, temple and state, mosque and state, then how could there be a religious war? How could it be if they claim church and state is to be separated? No, I'm not exactly entirely sure where, but I know that somewhere within their so-called Declaration of Independence or whatever, that they claim a separation of church and state. And they claim that in their constitution that they incorporated in it, how was it worded? Geez whiz. I should have looked this up earlier, but that their religion separated, that there's supposed to be checks and balances upon it, that you're not supposed to have religion within the political spectrum in the United States, but it's the United States, so it is Judaism. It's not Christianity. It's not any other thing. They're completely controlled by the Jews in Israel, by the Zion Nazis. So when they say a religious war, you know whose religious war it is. It's the Jews in Israel. So then why would the United States be fighting a religious war when church and state is supposed to be separated? Where you're not supposed to have mosques injecting their beliefs into the political spectrum. You're not supposed to have Christians injecting their political beliefs into it. You're not supposed to have Jews injecting them. But yet, here they are now in a religious war. What does it mean? What really does that mean? That undoes the last 200 years of the so-called, well, now they're claiming 250 years. So the last 250 years of the United States are canceled out because of this one action by Trumpler now of going to war in a religious war. So what is clearly happening, and if you go back just a month and a half, 2 months, everyone can see clearly that everybody thought there was a constitution, that there was laws that you were supposed to follow in the United States, but no, there's no laws, there's no constitution, because if there were, well, in the first place, Trumpler would not be president. If there was a constitution, and if it was laws, it identifies that those things that are there are very loose parameters that they claimed this, but it turns out not to be that. So what was the purpose of it? It's not that it's true parameters, it's just psychological parameters. It's a psychology used upon the people. And like we said many times, that psychology used on people to manipulate, like somebody lying, like we said, if somebody tells you that they love you, but they're out to get your house, but they're only telling you that they love you because they want to get your trust and to get access to your house. So the lies that are being exposed here now today are not just something that are of something right now. This is something of the mind effing, of the psychological manipulation, which is witchcraft, that has been happening for well over 200 years, for 500 years here in Turtle Island, that all the white people, all the non-native Europeans, everybody who's come here from around the world, Iranians included, that they've all been manipulated into a lie. Let's see, would Iranians come to the so-called United States if they knew that it was a religious country that is against Iran, against their home country? Why would Iranians go there? Well, I'll tell you the truth is because the colonization, again, is a pirate ship, and everybody wants their chance on the pirate ship, their chance to steal, their chance to be pirates. Iranians, Jews, Muslims, Chinese, Japanese, anybody from Europe, they've all come here for their chance to carry out piracy, for their chance to steal, to live free. That's what that means when they say in the United States, live free or die. I think that's New Hampshire. Live free means for them to continue being pirates. And if they can't continue being pirates, living free, meaning stealing off of everybody, then their only option is to die, because they don't want to work for their way of life. They don't want to work for the good things in life. They want it to be free. That's pirates. So everyone from Iran that went to the so-called United States, and now they're protesting in the streets. No war with Iran. How stupid you got to be in your enemy's house when you know that they're out to kill you, but you go to your enemy's house. Why would you go to your enemy's house? Why would anybody do that? This is a deep-rooted psychological problem that all non-native people have, that every European has, deep-rooted psychological mental issues, because of the fact that none of them, or all of them, have come here to Turtle Island to have their chance to steal. I don't care if it was 500 years ago, or if you just got off the banana boat today. If you just got off the banana boat from wherever the hell you came from on Earth, you came here to steal. You didn't come here to acknowledge that you were in somebody else's land. You came here to steal. So all the people who, just like the Palestinians, who have been living in the United States now for however long, and they just got wiped out at home, and they're all in the United States protesting. They're still there protesting while their home was wiped out. What's the psychology that's going on there? How could they still call themselves Palestinians? How could all these people who are Iranians right now and are in the United States or here in so-called Canada, how could they continue to be calling themselves Iranians? They can't, because even if you're here in so-called Canada, Canada is against Iran. Canada is bombing Iran. So who are the people? Who are the Iranians that are here and that are protesting, holding protest signs saying, no war against Iran? Who and what are these people? What do they represent? What are they? They represent a ghost. They're ghosts. That's what they are. They're not real people. They are now ghosts, because they're no longer from their homeland. They're no longer in their homeland. Their homelands are getting bombed. Their homelands are getting wiped out. And they think they're over here as a voice talking against what has been done to them. But while they're here, they are the ones doing what has been done to them. So what do these little lies mean? It means that you end up being your own enemy, and you don't even realize it. You're too stupid to realize it. Oh, excuse me, anybody who is here in the United States or in so-called Canada, you're here as part of the lie. You are the lie. You have been here to steal whatever you can. Not for you to be a good person, not for you to stand in your truth, because if anybody from Iran would have been here standing in their truth as Iranians, then they would be saying that, hey, so-called Canada, the United States, that they're colonial outposts and that colonization is illegal. But you don't hear one single Iranian or Palestinian identifying these things. So while they're here and working and getting rich, they are their own enemy. They don't realize it, but this is what the little lies does to the person. It makes them like turn inside out, where their brains cannot function properly anymore, where they can still convince themselves that they're truthful and that this is who and what they are. When we seen over the past couple of years, well, let's say I've been marching with Palestinian people in protests against what's been happening in Palestine, the occupation. I've been marching with Palestinian people for well over 20 years, 30 years, well over that. Yeah, 30 years here in Montreal when there's events. And we've been standing there with them. It's all been a lie. Because not a single Palestinian person over all this time have said, hey, we're colonizing the native people, that colonization is illegal. Not a single Palestinian person has done this. Instead, what they have done is they continued working in their jobs, stealing from the native people. So the Palestinian person that's here complaining about, oh, what the United States or Canada or Israel is doing upon their people, they're doing it here to us. So they're all liars. As is right now, all the Iranian people that are here in anywhere, in Turtle Island, North and South, I don't care if you're in Colombia and you're an Iranian, you are there colonizing against the original peoples. And so that means you are lying to yourself, lying to others, so that the bigger lies can be told, so that one lie covers up the other, and that you are all part of one big lying corruption together, trying to cover up each other. But then when the axe falls, then you want to point fingers at each other. It's you, and to the point of where you're pointing fingers to say, you are my enemy. So while you're here, if you're an Iranian and you're here in so-called Canada or the United States, nobody's pointing a finger at you and saying, you are a liar, but you are a liar. And why aren't they saying that to you? Because they're using your energy. While you are here, under the colonial regimes, the colonial outposts of Britain, you are here supporting colonization, supporting the lie that covers up the other lie, that covers up the other lie, that tells the truth about what colonization is. And that what is really playing out in the world, it's not a war, it's not a religious war, it's not an ancient struggle. No, it's colonization. And it's colonization of the earth. But they'll tell you, and you'll get stuck into the stupidity of that, well, it's a religious war, which means it's this group against that group. And here in Ganawagi, it's playing out right now that the bunch of stupid Christians here in Ganawagi. So you know that all of them are on board. Yeah, bomb the Iranians. Kill, wipe out Iran. What the hell does Iran, or what does Iran mean to any of the people here in Ganawagi? Is Iran our colonizer? They hate Iran, and they're ready to bomb Iran, and they're ready to support so-called Canada's war on Iran. But so-called Canada is waging war on Native people. So what is the truth anywhere? Who is within the truth anywhere? Very few people on earth are standing within any kind of truth any longer. And this means it's because of that the colonization process is complete. If right here in a native community, you've got native people who are so dumbfounded, so whitewashed that they're supporting the white man's genocide upon Palestinian people, upon now Iranian people, because it's a genocide. They are not going to stop at dropping a few bombs. Forget it. They're out to wipe out Iran. That's what this whole move is about. That's why they're saying it's a religious war. No, because they know that they're out to wipe Iran off of the face of the earth. Anybody who doesn't believe that, well, I'll say you're stupid. And just because it's me saying that the Nazi States of America is out to wipe Iran off the map, just because it's me saying it, you might think, well, who the hell are you? It's not true. Well, you examine all of the facts that are there, and you tell me if you can conclude anything else. Do you think, does anybody think that this invasion of Iran is going to stop at 10 days of war? Is it going to stop at 100 days? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think we're really I think we've just gotten censored.
You were saying would it, you were talking about will it do it 100 days or that's the last sentence when it cut.
Whew. Okay, I think we're seeing the first bit of censorship. It was almost impossible to get on. I couldn't, nothing was showing up. I think that's like a first warning that we got just now. The way that the internet was shut off. Okay, anyways, where was I? About how long this war is gonna be? Does anybody think it'll last only 100 days? Why was I saying that?
Because it's genocide and they are not just gonna stop there. Their intention is to wipe out.
Yeah, the intention is to wipe out Iran. That when they identify that it's a holy war, and that, well, what's the holy war? Who's in a holy war against Iran? Anybody today that you know of? Everybody who's in the military? If you know anybody that's in the military, are they aware of a holy war against Iran? Are they engaged in a holy war? Are they even believing in a holy war, which means that there's two religious beliefs? Are they even in that religious belief? So, like I was saying, that this is the first time now in the history of the United States, the United States of America, it's the first time where any service person has a legitimate legal reason to not fight in a war, to step back, sort of like what Muhammad Ali done and many other people, conscientious observers, that they even, what happened to Muhammad Ali? He had to spend time in jail. Well, today, if you are in the military and you're not on board with a religious war, you can say now legally, no, I'm not fighting in a war. I don't have to. But there will be repercussions upon you because you did agree to sign up and to fight in the white man's wars. And you don't know, you don't have to know what the general's motivations are or what the general's plan of attack is. You don't have to know any of it, but you are bound to fight within it. But now that they identified that it's a religious war, and that is a belief system, that is no longer based on known threats to the country, because the religion is not a threat to the country. It's the country that is a threat to the religion. So what's happening now, the reason why this is coming to light is because now here within the United States, that after 200 years, 250 years, that there's a lot of things that are all of a sudden coming to light. What does it mean? Think deeply. Religious war. That means the country is not a country of laws. It's a country that is structured upon a religion, upon a religious belief. And within that religious belief, which religion is waging war right now? Is it Christianity? Because they didn't, the current guy, the guy that you call the Pope, didn't he speak out against the invasion of Palestine? And if you could speak out against the invasion of Palestine, then what is the difference in the invasion of Iran? So when they're saying religious war, is it Christianity that is waging this religious war? This is something where everybody is fooled. They are tricked. They don't understand what it means because of the forked tongue, the doublespeak of the white man. that it's not a religious war like coming from the so-called United States against Iran. It's a religious war from the Jews upon everyone else. It's their religious belief that is warring on everyone else. So it's not like to say from the perception of if you are a serviceman, a service person within the United States, and maybe you're a Christian, maybe you're a Muslim, maybe you're not even anything, maybe you're an atheist, and you're going to be now engaged in a religious war. Well, what does this also mean? What they're in their Declaration of Independence, their freedom of religion. What does that mean? Freedom of religion means that in the so-called United States, that everybody has the right to whatever religious belief they have, right? Well, then how could it be a religious war then? If everybody in the United States has the right to any religion that they want to believe in, it's like Henry Ford. You can have any color you want as long as it's black. So any religion you want as long as it's the Jews. If it's anything other than the Jews, no, you can't have it. The Jews are going to wage war upon that, and the Jews are what's in control of the United States' military, their complete military forces. So a lot of things have to be considered here as to what you believe or what have your perceptions been over the past 500 years. What do these things mean when they are being questioned and even physically gone against in the here and now? What does it mean to you? The first thing that I was thinking of today in seeing all this different nonsense about another white man's insanity of religious wars, that who's the number one person that's targeted? Is it Iran? Who is Iran? What is Iran? Iran is a place on a map. It's a concept that somebody came up with. And it's not even the people from that place, because they weren't Iranians. They were Persians in Persia. So what is Iran? Iran is a construct of Britain. And Iran has been playing Britain's game for centuries now. For when did the Ayatollah come into power? I think the 1950s. Not the Ayatollah, what did they call him? I forget what they called him. But there was like an oligarch type of person that was put into place in the late 50s to comply with Britain, all about oil and all of that. So even right now today, the people in Iran, they're not Iranians as to what everybody on earth thinks this concept of Iran is. Even the Iranians are mixed up into what they are, because I'm pretty sure they used to refer to themselves as Persians. When did they become Iranians? Once the colonizer places an identification upon you and you play into that, then that's what you are. And you are then a pawn on the colonizer's chess game, on the board of the colonizer's chess game. So anyways, the number one person who's being attacked again is not whoever calls themselves Iranian. It's the mothers. The mothers again, just like all the women who just suffered in Palestine. But wait a minute, those were Palestinian women, huh? And now they're Iranian women. So if you're a white woman, you don't give a good goddamn about either one of them. Because to the white woman, the Palestinians and the Iranians have been enemies to them for so long through their false religions, an enemy imposed upon you. So right now, what's going on is a complete mind effing of everybody. You're being effed up and down and backwards, left and right and inside out and every way you can think of. And it's your mind being effed. It's you that are being played with through the manipulation of mind control, of witchcraft, of which is getting everybody in this world to get on one side or the other. Again, on one side or the other of what? Of a white man's religious war. What is that? A religion is a belief. Again, it's not anything rooted in fact. So, I know there's only a few people here. And like always, I know that when we ask questions, maybe it's only one person that we're asking the question to. So I'm going to ask you this question. To the life givers, how do you feel right now about what's going on? Outside of if you're an Iranian, or if you're a Canadian, or if you're white, or if you're purple, or if you're whatever, as a life giver, how do you feel about what is happening right now, knowing that you are engaged in another religious war? What is happening? What's in your mind about this? What's in your state of safety, or your own state of being, your own place in this world? What's on your mind? So I'm asking this of the life givers that are here. You don't have to answer if you don't want. So I'll wait a minute, and if there's anybody that answers, then we'll go with that. But if not, we'll just continue on.
Yeah, Ganjokwa, it's only Angel and myself. So Angel is inviting me to go first. So I'm gonna go first. Editudit sista soko aksata inda jesque panchita dengan aksata inda jesque selsa. Zapotek ni hunsagi mexika anwenerista. Irata hieni yankinastadista nantoharaya ganosesne. Yani yangahaga ganawage. Newis ni hunsage onawarage gawenage. Yeah, I mean, for my specific case, you know that it started like with me living that straight in the streets. Like, so for me, it's like just a follow-up on what's happening. I mean, it's the other day we were just talking with my mom about this, and she was just saying, you know, like all of the suffering that the mothers, that's exactly what she said, the mothers and the children in Palestine went through, and now they are just repeating it again. So it's like, I mean, it's just a trauma that has happened and it's happening again. So it's just like, is it going to stop? And of course, you know, we talk about how this guy is crazy and how does anybody just like allow them to do that? So the first concern is that, again, the mothers and the children. And when people are displaced, I mean, uprooting for a child is one of the most traumatic things, especially, I mean, if people are bombarding your house, it's not like you move somewhere else just because. It's like people are bombarding your house. The trauma that is inflicted just in knowing that you have to run away or you have to seek shelter. It's I mean, like, how do you heal from that? It's like we say that we have 7 generations to heal from traumas. So if they were just healing from traumas that happened, let's say a few years ago or 100 years ago, now it's like happening again. It's just you know, completely insane. And I want to take maybe the occasion to share something that I'm going to just look for it, that France actually shared a few days ago. And then I went to look for it on the news just to see if it was not fake news or anything like that. And it is not fake news. So I'm just gonna hang on, share it. Oh, where is it here? It's in French because it's concerning Quebec, but I'm just gonna read it in English. So it's from National Defense. And it says public interest message, military exercise of great importance along Quebec. So it's issued on February 26th. Maybe I can make it bigger, huh? It's a little bit small. So it's coming from Valcartier, and it says the 2nd Division of Canada of support base. And the troops of the base of support of the 2nd Division of Canada in Valcartier are preparing to be deployed throughout Quebec within a military major exercise that will take place between the 11th and the 24th of April to come. This exercise will mainly be in the regions of Saint-Alban, Saint-Raymond, Saint-Basile, and also the routes within the MRC of Portneuf, and on the cities of Sainte-Catherine de Jacques-Cartier, Lévis, Tête-Fermines, and Three Rivers. The residents of these sectors, as well as the municipalities that are between these points, will perceive that there's military vehicles, drones, and also helicopters, and like going around in an increased number of military in the exercise of their equipment of combat material. The exercise, known under the name of Maple Resolve, is a major training directed by the 5th Brigade Group Mechanized. Okay, the 5th Group Mechanized Brigade of Canada, the 5GBMC, and it's aiming to prepare the troops called to be deployed in order to show that they can quickly answer efficiently to any mission in the country or abroad to defend Canada and its interests. The choice of leaving the base of Valcartier to be trained throughout Quebec is within an initiative of the 5 blah, 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 aiming to offer to the military an immersive environment reproducing a simulated way of operational reality. This training proposes complex scenarios representing operations in which the Canadian Armed Forces could be called to fight besides their allies of NATO against a strength adversary of similar strength. The management of distances, the mobility, and the displacement between the different municipalities is constituting equally a major essential element of this exercise. Exercise Maple Resolve is within the continuity of essential work that our military keep to maintain a high level of competence and coordination. And they can, it allows them to be ready to fulfill their mission, regardless what are the challenges that they could find or be called to answer. And there's a link there, and it's the person that is issuing the communique, the number, the post, and in the comments, there's like people saying, I called and I made sure that it's happening and everything, but it's also in Radio Canada now. So it's official news, it's not just like a fake news. So, I mean, for me, it's like, this is clearly saying, everybody's getting ready to get engaged in a major thing, it's not just going to stay local, because I don't know also if you saw that I don't know if it's president of Spain, put a higher tone than the rest of NATO allies against Trump. They are saying that they don't care, that they can cut commercial ties if it's necessary. So it's like different from what the rest of the NATO allies have been saying. But, it's like everybody's just like getting like, I don't know if these type of military exercises happen often in Quebec, I would ask the people that live close to these regions. But for my time, what I recall, I have never heard that from anybody, unless if they happen low profile and we don't hear about them. But now this is like, it's several times that I have seen it posted. People are saying like, what the heck, and of course, as you say, there's the people that are going to say, oh, it's like usual, and we have to be ready in case something happens, like defending the war mentality. But I mean, for me, this is like a clear, I mean, they're saying, besides NATO allies in case of, it's really like, so It's just like people sometimes they believe that because it's somewhere else, it's never gonna touch them or it's never gonna come to them. But you know, it's just like it's everywhere. So yeah. Oh,
So the places that you identified, Levy, I heard that right away. That's right where Angel, where you used to live, right? So is
Yeah.
this somewhere in the places that they named? Are you within that region?
Not anymore, but it's Valcartier. It's just north of Quebec City. So it's close. We used to see planes. We could see exercises, but it was not broad like that, like a big thing. It could be we could see going. Usually, I could see trucks going east when I would go in Timisquara Lake when I was young, and it's probably like the in where they would transfer trucks and equipment between Valcartier, which is Quebec City, to Gagetown, New Brunswick. So that's basically it, and it wasn't even not in Quebec. So in Quebec, except like the plane, they would do like shows, like plane entertainment, some kind, and that's it. And I know I wrote to someone that lives in close to Sainte Catherine la Jacques-Cartier, and used to have a business of snow removal, and they would work on the base, on the military base. And she didn't answer it. She didn't confirm. So I don't know why. I'll get to talk to her boyfriend instead. But because he'll probably tell me everything. But I don't know much about it for now. But I'll get some answers of people living close there. I know a few other people too, but it's not something that usually they keep it in on the base, not outside. They don't touch civilians, or we can say in Quebec that we feel there's a military base close, but it's pretty close. It's like 30 minutes from Quebec City.
But where you are now, of the names that Edith read off, the places that are identified, are you within that region? Like, let's say if there's a dot to the left of you, a dot to the right, and one behind you, and one in front of you, are you like within those dots?
I have Three Rivers right there in front, but it's 45 minutes from my place, so it's North Shore. I'm South Shore of the river. The only city that it's written in the letter, which is South Shore, would be Lévis. All the other ones are all like North Shore between Three Rivers and Quebec City. All like Saint-Alban, Saint-Raymond-de-Portneuf, Sainte-Catherine-de-la-Jacques-Cartier, all cities close to Quebec, but North Shore. So it's not close, but it could come close. Like 45 minutes, it's nothing with an helicopter.
I wonder if those people in those areas were asked first if they wouldn't mind having a military operation in their regions. I bet you.
I'm sure no, they don't ask. These people, they never ask. They are like, there are civilians, there's them. They are like treated like something apart. Like, military, it's usually they see themselves like separate from the state too. So they don't ask. It's like always a national security thing. But
Yeah.
they usually don't mix with civilians.
They're like police. They view themselves as above the people, so they can do whatever they want. If they want to have a police operation, they're going to do it. They don't have to ask the people. But the people want that within their region. So what is becoming clear with this is it's probably happening in every other country also. It's a way of normalizing the living in a military state. As you know, we've been stating for years now that we're moving into a state of martial law. Well, what's martial law? That's military being all around. That's what martial law is. And even if they're your friends, maybe you're gonna toss the football with them or play frisbee with them. It doesn't matter. If they got an order to say whatever, they're gonna carry that order out. And your friendship with them is not even gonna mean anything. It doesn't factor in anywhere. So whatever is coming down the pipe, coming from NATO, is filtered down to all the NATO countries, which is, we've been hearing since last year, that different countries in Europe, NATO countries, were preparing their people for war. They were giving, I think Sweden put out a handbook about what to do. We discussed this in one of the Zooms last year about these handbooks that they were putting out. The normalization of living in a military state. So this is what's happening. All so-called NATO countries are having this filtered down the pipe to them, and so-called Canada is a NATO country. So it goes without saying, yeah, that would be happening. So this is an announcement. It's not something that was presented even in Parliament for parliamentarians to discuss it. Oh, do we want a military skirmish in our neighborhoods? Do we want army trucks rolling down our roads, or tanks moving through our forests, or even army helicopters? Because you think of the a large amount of military vehicles. You know that those vehicles are heavy. And you know that the areas that they're talking about, these are not major urban zones. So their roads, their streets, they're not even freeways, but their roads are, you could say, like below standard, because you know that even the main cities throughout Quebec, their roads are below standard. So you could imagine out there into these regions that these are roads that are not designed even to handle, say, even tractor trailers, you know, like heavy trucks. But you get a military operation where there's going to be heavy military machinery, trucks moving around, and especially at this time of year where you know that it's the thaw, and this is when and where major potholes are created because of the thawing and the heavy trucks, and then you get an extreme amount of heavy vehicles all of a sudden on the roads. What they're going to be doing is they're going to be tearing up all those roads. And this is going to be affecting the public that way. Who's going to have to pay for those roads? It's not going to be the military paying for those roads. It's going to come out of the taxpayers' pockets just to pay for those roads. And then the cleanup, because you know the military is a pig. Just their existence is a pig. You don't have, in the cars that you got to drive down the street, and even the buses and the tractor trailers that are driving on the street, they got certain emissions upon them that military vehicles do not have. And even on the levels of sound, meaning mufflers or sound suppression, those vehicles don't have them. You know that these military helicopters, these things have a very heavy sound, what would you call it, like repercussion? Where, I don't know if any of you have ever heard.
Yeah, we feel it on the ground.
Yeah, these
Vibrate.
military, these big helicopters, they're called Hercules. No, that's the airplane. These big helicopters, the double choppers, I forget what they're called. 3 of them are what came and landed in Ganawagi in the summer of 1990. And you could hear those things coming from 50 miles away. And they caused such a sound percussion, whatever, I don't know, a sound invasion of that sound of the helicopter, which is boom, 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 boom. And that over the land, that's going to be affecting not just the people, it's going to be affecting all the wildlife. And you think of where they're doing that, of course, it's right in the areas of the wildlife. And when you think of what we've been hearing lately of what's been happening in the Innu territory, what it seems like they're doing is like a slicing and dicing of the environment, of sections of the land. Because above, they're threatening with mining and military, for the military. So could these military operations that they're doing be there to actually, they're just telling people, oh, it's an operation we're doing, it's an exercise. But are they actually deployed there to actually protect and to defend their military operations of the mining of what they're doing? Because you know that what they're mining there in Innu territory is the uranium. And that uranium, of course, they got to process it into plutonium. And that means nuclear power plants. So here on the back end of this, we could be seeing what we've already heard of them wanting to put, even when Trudeau was in, Justin Trudeau, he was the first one to identify that they're going to be putting many miniature nuclear power plants all across so-called Canada. So this could be coming in on the heels of this military operation just to refine the uranium that they're going to be mining from those areas, justify them in their wars that they got to arm themselves for these fake wars that are happening. But all of these fake wars are nothing but an assault on the environment, an assault on the earth, an assault, like what Edith said, on the mothers. So, Edith, going on what your mom said and what you, the two of you just lived through. You just lived through seeing that military skirmish right there on the street right next to you. So, hearing this on top of what we were talking about what they're doing in Iran, and now hearing this, how does this make you feel? How does it affect your sense of security, your sense of well-being, your sense of even being able to hold on to your humanity? How does it make you feel in any way? Is it going to affect you of wanting to go to the store once a week, or now maybe limiting it to twice a week or whatever? Things that we can't think of in advance until these things get here. But there's premonitions. Everybody knew that certain things were coming. And so everybody kind of like put it on the back burner of their minds so it wouldn't be the thing that was urgent for them to address. And so once it's in the back burner and they don't address it, and then something actually happens, well, then it's too late for anybody to address it. And therefore, it's not within your control any longer. And therefore, I say, how can you feel safe? How can you feel feel secure, feel even for your health and welfare? Anyways, how does it make you feel on those levels? I don't know even what to ask you as a life giver. What would it mean to be seeing military driving down your street? How would that affect you? You know, and you might be thinking, oh, that's our military, yay, yeehaw. You know, but how's your sense of safety? What's that feeling like these days? There you go, read it. And then we'll go on to Angel.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's in the relative scope of things and in the craziness augmentation of this virtual reality, in the sense that sometimes, for example, seriously, when we lived that what happened to us, we couldn't really actually believe that it was happening to us. It really felt like we were watching a movie. So it's like how just war and killing and weapons have become so like normalized, and through everything, through movies, through for the children. I think of the video games, you know, it's like they gather on virtual land to be a group that is killing other groups. And that's what trains the young boys. So, like, I mean, for us in the LifeGivers Nation, we have been denouncing these things. These are like the basic of our reason of being, to know that it's war that is killing everything, and that's why we adopted the great law of peace, to learn how to pacifically do things and come to conclusions that are grounded on on logic and common sense, and that we know that that's what has to be done. But that's what you said, you know, just in this military exercise, have people been asked? Well, of course, no. So we see the disconnect of like those spheres of so-called power that just don't even consider anything about the civilian people. And we see just like what happened, like how come they attacked a school full of girls? You know, just girls. Like if they didn't know that it was there, like they map absolutely everything. So why target girls? So it's just such a clear message as what you say, you know, all the time that Sky Woman is coming around, you know, these 26,000 years, and she's just coming to normally sit in her chair, in her place of authority, and everything is like being done to just not let that peaceful uh cycle transition happen. Like if everything is, you know, war for money, because that money is what they want. But I mean, the mentality of just deciding to kill others and believe that that makes you a better person, like it's just incomprehensible. There's no way to get that. There's no way to make a rationality out of it. I mean, nowadays everybody justifies it because everybody lives in it, but like it's completely, there's not even a word to describe it. So there's the daily living, you know, that people need to normalize because otherwise you wouldn't have a life. So for example, here in so-called Mexico, well, you see militaries everywhere, you see cops everywhere. They have all mega weapons, you know, it's not just a little stick or something. They have not only guns, they have like machine guns. And people are used to seeing that. So that's it. It's like a slow, like that little tail, you know, of the little frog that is slowly boiling inside the water until, well, that's pretty much it. So I don't know. For me, you know, it's like I don't know. In this case, I would say like, you know, this military exercise, like the communities should say something about it. It's like, well, why this is happening? Like, you know, is it safe? I don't think. And but seriously, the normalization of it has been so wide that, you know, when you see comments as to, well, that's normal and that's supposed to be, and we are proud of. Eeh. So I am like you. I don't even know what to respond to you. It's just, you know, safety. I don't know if we have ever known safety as life givers. You might think that, yeah, we have because we have a normal life and because, you know, we go to school or we go to work or, you know, we do our daily chores. But like, uh, you know, in the way of what we know a great law can be, and nobody of us has known that in our lives. So, yeah.
Very interesting. The women have never known peace. They're always attacked. And in states of war, what's the existence of the women? We all know what it is. They're for sale. And if they're not for sale, they're just there for the taking. That's what happens in war. That's what happens in a martial law environment. That's what happens in a policing environment. That's what happens in the regular environment that you're in right now, that women are subjected to rapes all the time, subjected to violations all the time. Even if somebody might say, oh, that's nothing, a guy will hear it and they'll think, oh, you're just being a big baby or something. But even if you just get touched and you're out somewhere at night, that causes a trauma to a life giver. And the males will say, oh, come on, get over it, that type of thing. Not understanding what safety actually means to a life giver who doesn't want a state of war. So we're seeing a complete turnover inside out of society where the males are just saying, hey, you women, they're telling you just to shut the hell up now. Shut up, stop your goddamn complaining, and just take whatever the hell we're giving to you. The women have no say on a goddamn thing on any level whatsoever. Because if the woman did have a say, first thing you talk about is like in your own house, do you allow guns in your house? How many of you women, LifeGivers, allow guns in your house? What would you say if you had a boyfriend and all of a sudden he wants to bring a gun into your house? Edith, did you ever have a boyfriend that
No.
wanted to bring a gun into your house?
No.
What would you think?
He wouldn't be my boyfriend if that was the case.
Well, you see that's just in your house. Now somebody driving by right in your street, more than a gun. You know, this is where women are just being conditioned. Women, more so than anybody else, are being mind-effed to accept the male dominance, accept everything that we're shoving upon you, and do not resist it. Don't resist it. This is what's being told to you. But this is what we said a couple of years ago when remember when the floods were happening in India or Pakistan, and we said, hey, over 30 million people are under apocalyptic walk. It's coming here. Now, it doesn't have to be in the exact same way as a massive flood and everybody's on an apocalyptic walk. But when you got when you got military all around you, gee, what kind of environment are you in? You're at ground zero. They're making so-called Quebec ground zero. For what? What is planned here in so-called Quebec? Is there some kind of Indian uprising that they know is coming and they're getting ready to stand against? Because the only time the military has been out in the streets here in so-called Quebec has been in 1990. They had 5,000 troops stationed here on the streets around Ganawagi and Ganasadagi, where at the very same instance in the Iraqi invasion, so-called Canada only had 4,000 troops there, but they had 5,000 troops right here to try to squelch or to try to control the native people. And then the only other time that they had it before that was the so-called, what they labeled as a French uprising, the FLQ in the early 1970s, when they had the military in the streets in Quebec City because of what happened with Pierre Laporte. Now, this was a lie. It wasn't no FLQ. That was a complete lie. Sure, there was probably a gang of drunken Frenchmen who were just partying one night and said, yeah, down with this, down with that, and called themselves the FLQ. But the ones who actually did that, carried it out, that was mafia. That was all government sponsored. So you're subjected again to a military that was only released when there was some kind of social upheaval that they had to squelch. The first one was the French in 1970. Second one, 20 years later in 1990, the so-called Mohawks. And now here we are, 35 years later, 36 years later, and now they're going to have military all over the streets again, in so-called Quebec, but in specific places. Why in those places? If there was a military, let's say, invasion, wouldn't it be around the cities? Is it going to be around your neighborhood? Is it going to be where Angel is, way out in the boonies? Would it be there? It wouldn't be there. So what's the purpose? Anyway, so yeah, the way that you feel, okay, Angel, what about you? How does all of this, the war, not even the war, this fake thing, this religious, it's a crusade today, and it's not even a legitimate crusade because it's not even where the crusades actually were. It's now a crusade upon Iran, the Persians. So it's just a spread of something from 2,000 years ago. It's like as if there was a temporary, like you were breaking out in something on your body, and you put a temporary like ointment there to keep it there. And then once that wore off, now it's just spreading all over from there. So how do you feel about all of this then, Angel?
Multiple ways, but if I answer the exact question of it being called a religious war, how does it make me feel? Yeah, we won't see the end of it. That's how that's how it made me feel because you cannot you'll get to their level if you argue with religious people. There's no winning, nothing. It's like no reasoning. It's like the Monroe Doctrine. It's based on beliefs. So you can argue for years and centuries, like exactly what they use as Muslim against Christians, and the only history I have of these regions is that they fight. They always fight, and they always fight. So on this specific question, it's not that I'm in complete despair or everything, but it's a bit like Edith when you said that I'll have to adapt to this new stress. It's a bit like that. It's like my survival mode kicks in, and I'm looking into solutions, off grid, and all kind of stuff like that to say, okay, if I have to survive this, how would I get through it without suffering too much? And I just push me to be stronger, like in the gym, and like be able to survive whatever is in front of me. That's how I look at it. It's unfortunate that not many people talk about it. And what I see is that at my job, of course, I talk with customer, not much with colleagues, but the fact that we are like drilled into like separate personal from business makes us not talk about these things at all. And I can tell that there's really a lot of people that are not ready to face this. And even though I'm not a prepper or something like that, I still feel with like all the discussions that we have with the Longhouse for years, I feel prepared to react or to act, more acting as reacting. But that's how I feel. At first, I was a bit scared, but I can tell you that here I'm not scared. There's not many people, and but in the city, I didn't feel comfortable during the weekend. Nah, I didn't like it. It's like for me there's a vibe that I always feel now, and it's getting worse. And I didn't trust people. I didn't trust if there's an accident, if there's an emergency, how they will react, because everybody is really pressured right now. And for me, an emergency would get worse than usual. And maybe that's what I was seeing. So no, I don't feel safe, but not in the sense that I'm afraid all the time and I just want to get hidden in my basement and don't talk to anybody. It's more like surveillance and being on my guard, like alert all the time. That's what it does to me. I'm more in the masculine energy of like wanting to defend myself or to make sure that I look out for everything when I'm with people, because I don't trust people no more. That's the thing. That's how I feel. So
Well, I'll tell you, I'll give a little prediction to you as to the direction these things go, and I'll say it's not really a prediction, it's just an acceptance of the status quo of the white man's world every time they engage in war and their insane actions. So going on that, things that you see in Vietnam, things that you see in so-called Afghanistan, you can't call that a war. Anything after Vietnam, you can't call these things wars. You know, people like to say, "Oh, I was in the Afghanistan war." There was no war there. These are invasions by where it's like a bully in the schoolyard going to pick on the littlest, weakest person. That that's not going to be a fight. It's going to be a beating. It's not a fight. A fight would be where somebody can fight back, and it would be somewhere, like an equal force. But Afghanistan, Iraq, these things, and even Iran right now, these things are not wars. These are bullies in the schoolyard picking on the littlest weaklings. Not to say that Iran or Afghanistan or Iraq were weaklings, but they're not as insane as the white people. The white people are insane. As you know, they put trillions and trillions of dollars invested into a war machine, where somebody like Iran or Iraq or Afghanistan, compared to like saying they got a budget for military, they don't even have an actual real military to have budget. It's more like a militia, like an official militia of the country, of countrymen who will stand to defend their country. But the US, they've got a standing army of people who are not even clear on their own citizenry, as to who they would defend. And you know what happens in wars, that, well, civilians get killed a lot in wars. And when you're military, you are above the people, and you can kill people and get away with it. And anybody who's in the military, that's what they want. That's what they're waiting for. They're all just waiting to kill somebody. Anybody who says, no way, they don't want it, is a goddamn liar. You join the military because you know you're going to get your chance to kill someone. And so this is everybody that's in the military. They are all on the moral scale, they're all on the negative side. So those are the people that when there's some kind of military skirmish or whatever to get their way up, here's the prediction. I'll say that you women are going to start to, you're going to have to start to group yourselves together and even have hiding places where you can hide from. Even right now, just that military operation that they're doing in so-called Quebec, because when you look at in the military, in the last 10 years, all of the rapes, all of that has happened in the military, that's inside the military. When they're out there on the streets, you think that's not gonna spill over into the civilian population? You're goddamn right it is. So here's a little prediction, and it's a warning to you. The same way that I warned you that you are going to have to walk past dead babies, that you are going to have to group yourselves together to protect yourselves from males, that you're going to have even like what they were doing in the 50s, like underground bunkers and stuff like that, where you're going to have to hide. Now, that's a prediction I'm making, that I'm saying it's not really a prediction. It's based on the status quo of things as to what is the normal conduct in times of war for the white man. And I'm saying this is coming to your homes. And in less than 5 years. The fact that they're showing you now that this is, get ready, they're preparing you for this military action. That's the martial law we've been telling you about. And all of a sudden, it's no surprise. Just remember a couple of years ago in Sherbrooke, we said insane for them to create a law like what they did, where you can't call down a elected official or a city worker. You can't call them, hey, you stupid jerk, what'd you do? You cut down my tree. Hey, you'll be fined. And if you don't pay your fine, you get thrown in jail. That's martial law. It's martial law that's being inflicted by the police. So now all of a sudden, not far from that region, now the military is doing an operation there. And that's to prepare you. For, like we said, the white man's world is forcing a full-blown martial law atmosphere everywhere. Everywhere. And all these fake militaries are not against each other. On the surface, yeah, they'll make it look this way because of the countries, the divisions of countries and the divisions of religious beliefs. So you know what's the solution there? Is to remove the countries and the individual religious beliefs and have it all just one military. And after that, who's the enemy? what you're gonna find, and Angel, you're probably gonna see this within the year. It'll be evident within your field of work. Right now, you're working there by your choice. Within a year, you won't be able to leave your job. You won't be able to say no to it. They will demand you stay in that position and you do precisely what they tell you to do and the way they tell you to do it. I'll say you're going to be aware of this within the year. You're going to come back and you're going to tell us. And by that time, the fear might even be so far advanced that you might be even too afraid to even say something by that time. Because who would think, even just a year ago, that we would be at this stage of things? Well, think from here, where does it advance to? And you could think that, well, the levels of freedoms that you got right now, that they're going to continue to apply, laws apply. No way. You're shown that laws do not apply. If there's a constitution, you're shown that constitution doesn't apply. So everything of the status quo that everybody thinks is the norm of your normal functions, soon everybody in different sectors, it's going to be deemed as a, what do they call it? Like during the pandemic, that
Essential workers.
Essential workers. Yeah.
I was an essential worker.
Yeah, you were considered that?
Kind of, because I'm in IT.
Uh-huh.
And like computers and stuff.
Yeah, so see,
we're not frontline, but like part of the company is like technician with hardware, so equipment. Because of that, we were considered as essential, but we all work from home.
So there you go. You've already experienced it in a pandemic, something that you know that everybody knows was a goddamn lie, that you were considered essential, that maybe you didn't want to quit, but if you wanted to or whatever, they probably wouldn't have let you. But now we're coming into a time of where that if it's going to cross your mind of that, I don't want to do this no more, that you're going to be forced. And in some situations, as we get deeper into it, you're going to be forced at gunpoint. And which means
a bit already like that, because some customers are in mining, others like bunch of customers in construction. So I'm not comfortable knowing what they're doing. But like a lot of people, I still have to eat and survive. So, but I take any occasion I can to say what I have to say, like politely. There's always occasions to tell people like that we live in a stupid world, or however, I always find ways to say it, but it's already a bit like that. And that's probably for everybody that works in the corporate world. We are all like in some way chained into doing business with people that we would not, if money was no object, we would not do business with them.
I would say, even, this may sound crazy, but the casinos, they're going to be considered essential services. Because for the military and the essential workers, they're going to need the places to blow off steam. So even places like that, everybody's going to be labeled essential. So even a bouncer in a casino, a doormat, they're going to be considered essential. That no one will be able to actually, from here on, be able to choose their line of work. What we're seeing is the caste system, where we're being slowly squeezed into it, acclimatized into a caste system, precisely like what they say is in India and Pakistan and places like that. Like they look at these places like they're third world countries, and they got caste systems that existed there for thousands of years. It's been the same way in the non-native world. It's just that there's been a certain level of perceived freedoms that you can choose this, or this, but you can't choose anything but that. Like what we see that when you go into the universities, can you choose a line of education of how to live in balance and harmony with creation? Is that there as one of the options when you go into university to say, hey, here's all the classes I can take? No. So everybody's being corralled like a bunch of sheep or a bunch of cattle right into something that right now they can't even imagine really how ugly it's going to be. Because what everybody is seeing is now a management of an active colonial state. Where in the past, maybe, I don't know, 50, 60 years, it's been kind of like a sleeping colonial state. That the only ones who would see the colonial state was the ones who were being colonized, was the native people. But soon, everybody's going to see the colonial state that everyone's a part of. And that on the pirate ship, what happens if you're not a functioning part? What would happen to you? What would they do to that person who's on board a pirate ship and who's not pulling their weight on that pirate ship?
They remove the weight.
Yeah. They make them walk the plank. It's been that way. You've heard us identifying about how the British created their pirate fleet through press gangs. And press gangs, what they done was go into the bars or where people were drunk and go and scoop them off the street, put them on the pirate ship, and then send the ship off to sea. And when they awoken, they were out at sea. And they couldn't just get off. And then they were all lost. Anybody who doesn't want to serve in the Royal Navy just step forward. And when they did, they shot them, or else they made them walk the plank. Shot them or hung them or made them walk the plank. So really we could say what's happening then is a thinning out of the herd. That's what's happening. On a larger scale in the continuum of things, it's a thinning out. And what it is then, it's an economic tightening of the belt. It's an economic maneuver. That's what the military operation is to bring them in, to disperse them throughout Quebec. It's an economic, it's of economic purpose. Designed to streamline the company and to get rid of the unnecessary fat, to cut it out. And to get the ones that are in essential services, to get them more, like to whip them with the lash, and to get them more productive, get them more, more productive. So you get a larger turnout. And this is the thing, like we said a couple of weeks ago, that this colonization process has reached its peak where it cannot be sustained any longer. So what they're doing is they're revamping the whole system, that it's like a business that's failing. It's like the show that we're watching about a publishing company. A publishing company in the time of IT and everything being on the internet. Nobody's buying books anymore. So it's like, well, what they got to do to try to survive, they're cutting. They got to cut this job out, cut that job out, cut out whatever you think is essential, and you bring it down to bare essentials, which means a thinning of the herd, which means there's going to be either a lot of suicides happening, that what the reason why they brought in the MAID program in so-called Canada, medically assistance in dying. And like we know that on that, they've opened it up to just people who have mental illness. Wow, a mental illness. I'm sure there's a lot of people with mental illness who would want to just kill themselves. But what does that do to our humanity? So we are seeing an overall attack on humanity. It's a squeezing of the belt, a tightening of the noose on humanity. This is overall, like we said, a killing of the planet. It's just that at each stage, the people, when they get a chance, when they get when these things come into view, when they can start to see it, then they gotta control the herd. They gotta the cows or the pigs that are going to slaughter, they gotta separate them. And how many people have seen these videos online recently of pigs being sent to slaughter in their processing plant? They're on a machine being led down on their bellies, and their feet can't even touch the ground on a very tight, like little like tramway, and you could see the fear, the terror in them. They know they're going to slaughter. This is what's happening to humanity. This is where we're at. So women, life givers, when I said it to you in the past, you didn't like it and you didn't believe it. When I told you that you are going to have to walk past dead babies. Now I'm telling you are going to have to prepare yourselves to group together to protect and defend yourselves, just to stay alive, to prevent yourselves from, yes, getting raped, from getting violated. And if it's a violation of just having to have those people in your front yard, as a life giver, you cannot sustain being a life giver. You can't sustain that identity and have that level of male dominant insanity, even anywhere around you in the general vicinity, because it's like putting a negative to a positive, or the two equal sides next to each other. You can't see it, but shards of it is gonna be disintegrating. Your life giverhood, your womanhood, your identity is gonna be, and is right now, disintegrating right in front of you while you speak. So prepare your minds psychologically for what's coming. It ain't, I'll say, it ain't a prediction, it's a reality what's coming. And anybody else might say, no. Okay. Just wait and see how it plays out. Okay, it's funny that you mentioned that also about your job, because on a post that I made this week, Helen commented about something that is directly pertinent to what you just said. I'm going to look for the post and I'm going to share that, because it is, it's directly, like I said, directly linked to the comment you just made. So give me a second. I'm going to look for it.
I just read it earlier when you were off the Zoom.
Oh yeah, do you think you could find it?
Yeah. And while I'm finding it, I wasn't ready to share it already, but I think it's the proper time. With AI at my job, it exponentialized everything. Everything goes so fast that it's already unsustainable for me, at least. But I can see it on people too. It goes so fast that we don't sustain it anymore. It's too fast. We have to cover more job, more everything, and so brace yourself. That's what I'm saying to people. Okay, I found it. Do you want me to share the comment and your answer?
Yeah, well, maybe if we, what was it that what the post was about?
It was about Grandma Moon is pulling on everyone strong tonight, and for the next 2 days, as she is in maximum cleansing phase, lay low and stay home with your friends, family, and loved ones. You posted it yesterday.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one. What is her comment was pretty much in.
Yeah, and when you're re-obliged to have uncomfortable work with these next 2 days with potentially abusing people, some lines have been crossed and restoring the truth is needed. What do you do? You want me to read your answer?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Oh, no problem. You said, Ellen, funny you should say that because a few people have asked the same thing. Everyone is being confronted with very divisive issues because the world is being divided right now into evil and those who are sick and tired of all the evil. So you will be confronted with situations that test your integrity. If not for money, such thing would be easy and simple, but for work, everyone is being downsized and some tough decisions will have to be made, probably. It
Yeah.
depends on your ability to ride the storm out. If you don't have the funds, then you may have to bite the bullet and overlook the a-holes right now until you can afford and are able to stand back in integrity. Good luck to everyone, as everyone is being faced with the same things.
Can we go on and to read what the other reply?
There's only Willie Nolan Campbell that says take a couple of sick days. A mental health days. Make another appointment. Meditate on the problems before returning to them. That's what I would do.
Yeah, okay. Hang on a second. That one right there from Willie, very important because as a life giver, she's responding to another life giver who's asking, what about these idiots we got to work with right now? And she's telling them, well, take temporary measures. Now, these temporary measures is what everybody is being confronted with. At first, it's viewed as, or it's understood to be like a temporary measure. It's like somebody standing in front of you and wants to punch you, and you move out of the way, and only to find out that there's somebody else trying to punch you over there. Then you got to move this way, and then as you move this way, the first one that was trying to punch you is actually going to punch you. It's almost like we're in an avoidable state right now, which we are. We're in an unavoidable state of violence, of where the male worldwide is being hyper violenced into a state of where everybody just wants war, even on the streets. I mean, you recall last year, Edith and I seen that was that last year? No, Edith, was it last summer? 2 summers ago?
Yeah, 2 summers ago.
2 summers ago. But then I seen it way before that, like about 10 years ago. I was out with, some of you heard about this. I was out with my nephew, Brad, and his girlfriend at the time, and we were downtown at Sharks playing, we were in the bowling alley. And something happened. I don't know what. He was always getting into issues. So let's go. And as we're walking out, I noticed this guy standing there watching us, and then I noticed another guy, and then another guy, and another guy as we're walking up. By the time we got outside, there was like about 12 guys walking behind us, coming after us, and there was my nephew who started the problem. Well, I don't know if he's the one that started it, but it wasn't me. It was him and these other guys, and he's with his girlfriend. So I told him, I says, go ahead right now. And I stood there and I just was jumped by these 12 guys. Now I jumped them back, but I only had 2 guys, and I grabbed them by the throats, both of them, and I slammed their heads onto the sidewalk, and I tried to put myself in between them to not get as punched and kicked as much. And it was only for like 3 seconds. But 3 seconds of getting punched and kicked by 12 guys, that's like what? Maybe 36 hits, in a matter of seconds. And then there was cops there right away. And what this was, it was a gang of these Middle Eastern types. And in Montreal, this is what's happening. There's gangs of these refugees or immigrants that are coming in and that are ganging up, doing assaults. And it's not just Montreal, it's everywhere. It's everywhere that they go. And you see it more like in the media or whatever in Europe, in France, in Paris, and in Britain, you see that more. But here, I've seen it building for at least 10 years now. And confronted with it right there, like the last time Edith and I, 2 years ago at the jazz festival. at a music festival where, hey, it looked like there was just one person being a smartass. But then all of a sudden, there was somebody else there with them. And there was a whole gang of them, like a family, that was all of a sudden just came out of the woodwork and were present in this skirmish. So this is the kind of thing that we're going to see increasing, because everybody knows that it's not safe out there for anybody. So everybody's going out there with their gang, so to speak, and they're prepared for other people's gangs. And once what it is it's like you put a show of force, and you don't even have to have the intent of starting a fight. Then the other people who see that show of force, they're going to put up a show of force. And then against the show of force increasing here and there until eventually it's a gang fight. It's a war. It's the stupid, insane thinking of the white man, of what they have spread colonially around the earth. It's their poison thinking, where everybody is a military or an army, and they're all against you. And so you got to counteract them, even to the point of where you look at the stupidity of the white men in Trumpler's orbit of Hegseth saying that this was a preemptive strike. And that's the reality of that. We got to strike them before they strike us. And we know they're going to strike us, so we got to strike them. But who is there that's going to strike you? It's all in their corrupted minds in the first place, because they are the ones. They're the insane ones. Was Iran any kind of threat to the United States? The United States says, yeah, they're a threat to our way of life. They want to kill all of us. Where do you see that happening? You don't see any Iranian military bases in so-called Canada trying to surround the United States. You don't see any kind of military bases of anybody else around the world trying to build up around the United States. But you see the United States building up militaries against everybody on earth. So this is insane white man's behavior that is coming to a head everywhere. And warning to the people of Ganawagi, you're going to watch it explode here, because Ganawagi, more so than anywhere else, has their heads buried so far up the white man's rear end that it's the native whose face is so far up their rear end, it's in the white man's face. And it's a white man, but it sounds like a native talking. And that's Ganawagi. It's a white man, but it sounds like a native talking. And they've all been so divided here in Ganawagi that even in my time, in the early 60s, there was still people fighting in the streets in religious wars against Catholics and Protestants. And imagine, they're so-called Mohawks against Mohawks. This is the stupidity that is here. And now the religion of the division of the people of Ganawagi, it's not the conventional religions. It's the casinos against the normal people. It's the casinos. It's the industrialized natives against the normal people. And this is building up in their drinking establishments. It's building up in their legion. You could see it, you could hear it, you could feel it. They're getting drunk and they're saying, yeah, bomb Iran. Yeah, do this, do that. And even they were saying, screw the Palestinians. Yeah, bomb them. As a matter of fact, Ganawagi, the band system, supports the genocide on the Palestinian people. They're funded by Jews. That's the band system of Ganawagi. So it's going to get worse as a result of this military skirmish that's coming on here in so-called Quebec, but it's designed against the native people. So we're going to see a lot of activity this summer. A lot of craziness happening. When I say that the women are going to have to fortify themselves together, I'll say to anybody, anywhere in so-called Canada, if you're a woman on your own, you better start to rethink and start to organize yourself with other women or other people that you're going to be able to be safe with, that you're going to be able to be comfortable with. That's a conscious thing that you're going to have to do if you don't start now. If you are a single mother, a single woman, a grandmother, you should start pursuing this now in talks with other women who are like-minded to see what yous are going to do when something, when something's triggered and yous are going to have to depend upon somebody to protect yous, to defend yous. How many guys are going to protect yous and defend yous? You're going to have to do it yourself. So, this is what I say is coming. Does it mean it's so? Most people call me a bullshitter. Most people say I'm a liar. I don't know what I'm talking about. So, well, then if it's true, then there's nothing to worry about. But if I'm correct and everybody else is the bullshitters and the liars, then you don't want to be caught off guard. You want to be prepared. So prepare yourself. It's not something of the far off distant future. It's something that's happening right now, right under your feet. While the rug is moving, you can see it moving. You just cannot deduce that what's this movement beneath my feet? You cannot deduce that it's the rug being pulled out from underneath you. Okay, I don't know if anybody else has anything that you want to adjust on that, if you want to say anything further. If not, is there anything else that had to be discussed that was supposed to be brought up or anything? If not, I think we could end for the night.
I could just a small. Oh, Serge wants to talk too. So I'll just 2 minutes, Serge, and then. So I'm Angèle, daughter of Jeanne Mance, granddaughter of Jeanne, great-granddaughter of Marianne. In the LifeGivers Nation, I'm the Turtle Clan temporary representative, and it's only to do a quick follow-up about the meeting with the ACCQ that happened on Saturday, where I was present and I observed. So within the LifeGivers Nation, we will do a proper report before. So I just wanted to share a bit of my experience that it was interesting to observe and to be at a front row to witness people who care about the state and how we will govern ourselves. So I just wanted to just confirm that somebody from the LifeGivers Nation was present there, and then we'll get back to them shortly.
When are you going to give your report on that?
We didn't statuate like a date yet, but at the latest at the next council, which is close to New Moon, not this weekend, the other one, but I don't know. I presume it could be before that. Depends on the because we just sharing the report in between ourselves right now.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. It will be more for the council. Yeah.
Okay, this meeting that you're talking about, isn't that like one of the people that were present here like last week or 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
We talked
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, when Lucy presented it to us last week, it's this meeting.
Okay, well, I don't think you should wait too long. I mean, the way that we're seeing things progressing here, they're talking about if they were talking about like being prepared for stuff, like you said. Well, here all of a sudden, the week later, we hear about this military thing happening. So we could see on both sides, it's like the people can sense there's something happening and they need to prepare somehow. And we see on the other side these things happening that are prompting the people to feel this. So I think that you should jump on that and not be waiting too long to give that report. I think that's something that should be coming down. I mean, if it's already, how long ago was that this meeting happened? A week
Just
ago?
a few days ago, it was Saturday morning.
4 days ago already. And when is the next meeting you're talking about? That's in what, 2 weeks?
Council is not this weekend, the other one. So that's why I was asking if we could maybe issue something before that.
I would like to hear something about it before that. I mean, you were attending to be like the preliminary whatever there. Things are progressing so fast. I would say that you should be presenting a report on that before next week. I think it should even be within, if the meeting happened, whatever point, it shouldn't even be a week after that meeting. Anyways, that's up to you, whatever point. I mean, just think if something else happens and it makes it redundant, like you don't want that to happen. Okay, anyways, all right, let's go to Serge then.
Hi, salut to the Longhouse. I spoke with the teacher for the meeting, and this week is lost. The slave are gone to the school without the school, and I have to wait next week before talk to him. And he asked to see me a second time because he have spoke with others, teacher and other people, and they are very interested too. So I will talk with him again. All I say it's about you will explain the real wampum, the real Tuwa wampum, a little story, and survol, a flyover, just a little flyover the book of the school, because I've looked in it, and like it's white handwriting. So the entity of the book is on the white side only. So I will speak next week here, and until this time, I will try to send picture in mail of the book. I've tried to do some, but it's not really good. And see you next week.
Okay, all right.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, we know that it's spring break right now, so everything is gonna be like, and some places it's like some place will do a spring break this week and then another place will do it next week, so it's like almost half of the month you can't really have proper communications there. So yeah, no problem. We kind of expected that, so whenever you got any kind of new information or whatever, we'll be here. Very good. But this reminded me of something that I posted today of Polyev. Is that how you say that guy's name? Polyev?
Polyev. Polyev.
Okay, I'm gonna share this. I shared a post today about it. So let me see if I could draw that up here. Okay, so I'm looking. Here we go. Okay, so I'll read this. This is from one of you sent me this today, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so abroad, Pierre Polyev proposes a partnership between Commonwealth members. Well, according to the Commonwealth, any Commonwealth country, there's already that partnership there. So what does this guy think that he's proposing? He's not presenting anything new, but on his first official trip abroad as leader of the official opposition, Pierre Polyev advocated for a strengthened partnership between Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand. We share legal roots, a parliamentary government, and a sovereign who stands above politics, a living symbol of constitutional continuity, he said Tuesday during a lengthy speech in London, England. Such a partnership between these Commonwealth members, commonly referred to by the acronym CANZUK, would include the automatic recognition and qualifications, the establishment of regulatory equivalencies for business purposes, and greater workforce mobility. If you can perform heart surgery in London, England, you can surely perform it in London, Ontario, he argued before participants at the Margaret Thatcher Conference, a British centre-right think tank. Okay, so here what he's saying is that basically the laws that apply in one Commonwealth country should apply in all of them, or it does apply in all of them. So, okay, this is the reason why I put in here this image to, how do I get out of this now? Okay. This means treaties must be recognized all over the world. Wherever there are original people standing against the colonial genocide of Britain and all Commonwealth countries. The two-row wampum is officially transferable to our sisters and brothers within modern-day so-called Australia, meaning Robbie Thorpe can use the two-row wampum in defense of his people that the Australian government continues to systemically racially genocide upon. We extend the two-row wampum to all countries in this hemisphere of Turtle Island, north and south, so that the whites call the Americas, there's no north and south, that the whites call the Americas, as they are all under the Monroe Doctrine, which establishes them all under the Commonwealth, and to Australia, New Zealand, and all Commonwealth colonial outpost countries. So what this guy is saying here is what we've been saying about the two-row wampum being able to apply to our sisters and brothers within so-called Australia, so that Robbie Thorpe and his people could defend themselves against colonization. So what this guy said today is we could use it in our court case. It could be used in Robbie Thorpe's court case to just further substantiate that's what is rule of law in one country, so-called Commonwealth country, is transferable to every so-called Commonwealth country. This gives us a look into a broader picture as to what we what we've already seen, but maybe didn't look far enough in, that the Commonwealth countries are colonial outposts, and they are a result of Britain's colonization, which is illegal. It's there, which means it's there by de facto. It is not a legitimate thing. It's there by de facto. So the fact that it's there by de facto, when we're saying not legitimate, you think of the, well, wait, I'm going to draw you an image here to get across the sentiment that I'm trying to get at. Just give me a second. You think of the human body, and it's got its living systems. Okay, so the human, oops. Okay, so that's supposed to be a human. I don't know if you can see it. Got one short arm. Okay, inside there's the heart and all the other organs, and you got the vein system. So let's just make it simple. So that's the vein system. Now, the colonial construct is would be this: establishing a fake heart and a fake alternate vein system. That's de facto. It's not their natural, it's de facto. So the orange is the Commonwealth countries. They are there. It's a de facto fact right now, a de facto facto. It's the fact of being de facto. What it brings to light is that this de facto system is trying to cancel out the real system, breaking it up, breaking it down until it can't function on its own any longer. So it wants to remove all that is natural so that the natural world can no longer continue communicating or working with each other. Doesn't know how to work together any longer. Because it's all broken up. And in some cases, it's broken up more than what I'm portraying. In some cases, it might be like almost completely no system here in the arm, and maybe no system here at all. It could be broken up so much more than what we might physically be ready to accept right now. Okay, so this is the current state of affairs, the current state of things on Mother Earth. The Commonwealth countries, the artificial, has overpowered, de factoed itself there. And so when this Polyev guy comes along and says, hey, the law should apply everywhere, in the arm, in the left arm, right arm, legs, should apply everywhere. We say, yes, it should. And what we got to look at is taking advantage of this colonial system. Because it's there by de facto, but it's the only thing that is complete right now. we are all broken up and we're unable to function properly. Just like the 5 nations. All the 5 nations will all talk about the great law of peace, but they're all full of crap because they're all Christians. They're all Freemasons. So they're all working for the system. They're all artificial. We can use that artificial system, that commonwealth. We look at it again, as everybody knows, the example of if you're bit by a rattlesnake, the poison is going into you from the rattlesnake venom. But then the antidote is also rattlesnake venom. The same exact poison is the antidote. So this is what we got to think of as how to use that system, infiltrate that system, and to use it to send the real power, to reestablish the real power throughout the body. Now, how can that be done when it's everybody is all broken up? And this one's not longer able to communicate with this one over here because they're broken. The line of communication is broken. They might be like here, grouping might be in the same vicinity with each other, but they're not connected. They're not able to communicate. So how can we communicate, get a unified action from the natural to be able to utilize and overpower this system, the artificial one? Well, it's not something that has to be collective or agreed upon or even understood by everybody else. All it takes is for one to realize that's a system that goes throughout the body. And our system used to go throughout the body. If we stay within our system right now, we cannot get throughout the body. There is only one thing right now that can get throughout the body, and that's the artificial system. And as you know, that's what we're using. That's the reason why we're here on Facebook, on the algorithm, to use the artificial system against itself, to influence it into the right thing. And so we got to now look at a higher level of infiltrating and utilizing that artificial system to get the 2-row wampum throughout that artificial system, which is everywhere on Earth. Now, they gave this example of just Polyev. He just mentioned Britain, so-called Canada. Who else did he mention? Australia, New Zealand. I think that he only mentioned 4 of them there. But the reality is, here in Turtle Island, North and South, that all so-called countries are colonial outposts, and through the Monroe Doctrine, they're all directly under Britain. So they're all directly under the Commonwealth. So we can get the 2-row wampum, the law, the great law of peace, all throughout the body by utilizing that artificial system. We use that, what is the initial poison, to be the antidote. It's just a matter of concluding how that will be done and carrying it out. Now, we've already concluded how it would be done. It's by getting on the algorithm to affect the algorithm. And as you see, it has affected the algorithm. All of a sudden, before we got on the algorithm, nobody was identifying women as life givers. All of a sudden, everybody and their sister is identifying women as life givers. I ain't gonna say that, hey, that originated from us. I won't say that. But after we got on the algorithm and we were presenting it, keep on hammering away. Next thing you know, people, other nations, other peoples are starting to say life givers. Soon, you're going to hear white people referring to the women white women as life givers. So that's how the using the same poison as the antidote will change and will heal the corruption that the poison caused in the first place. So we're not talking about joining the poison. We're talking about using the poison against itself. Now, it doesn't have to know that it is being used against itself, even though myself, if I'm sitting right across the table from my enemy, I'm going to tell my enemy exactly how I'm going to defeat my enemy. I'm going to tell them precisely what I am going to do. None of it is going to be a secret. If there is a secret, then it will not work. You must tell your enemy everything, precisely what you're going to do. And this is, you just seen it, what Trumpler done. He told everybody, the whole world didn't believe it the way that he done it. He said, we're going to be bombing Iran. And look at the way they done it. So the using of this poison of the Commonwealth is the only hope that everyone on earth has. And it's not everyone on earth that is going to be aware of this or can even work to making it happen. It could really only be us. No one else on earth is going to think about this. No one else on earth is going to be able to do it. Some people have are aware of this because we already talked about this over maybe the last 6 months in speaking with our friend Robbie Thorpe in so-called Australia. So some are aware of it and some people agree with it. Some people don't understand. They'll never understand or comprehend what the two-row wampum is. When in that post that I showed you, also the picture of myself and Justin Trudeau holding the two-row wampum is there. There are so many people who commented on that picture who don't understand what it means. They don't understand that once that white man touches that two-row wampum, it doesn't matter what's in his mind after that. It's not going to work the way that he wants it to. It's actually going to destroy him. And so this is how Justin Trudeau was removed out of that position. And so we pushed the two-row wampum in the algorithm, not to politicians, just in the algorithm. And just as a concept, just as the teaching. And the algorithm that is artificial intelligence, the algorithm which is your computer, which is your telephone, which is your neighbor's computer and telephone and TV and whatever else, even their toaster in some instances, that all of these things are affected when information is put into the algorithm that is contradictory in nature to what it is currently experiencing. So when we put great law of peace out there and everybody's at war, then it'll take the algorithm a little while to be able to understand it, sort it all out, and then discern your war, your war, your war, your war. Peace is over there. You're going to say you're peace, but the algorithm will be able to discern that you're a liar. You're not peace, you're war. The algorithm accepts your categorization of yourself and will accept where you've placed yourself and then will confine you to that. So we use the algorithm to spread the medicine throughout the body. And we use Pierre Poilievre, whatever his name is. We use his statement today. This guy, so non-thinking in his own words, doesn't realize what he said to the world today. Doesn't realize it. What he said is that the great law of peace applies throughout the world. Through the Commonwealth. But the Commonwealth is artificial. We've said this many times of that Pinocchio scenario that Pinocchio wants to be a real boy. He wants to come alive. He wants to be real. Britain has wanting to be real for thousands of years, so much so that they had to go around the world stealing everybody else's reality, stealing everybody else's culture, like to breathe life into themselves, bring their culture back to their homeland, and like as if it gave them some kind of culture. But they don't have a culture. Britain's culture is to kill. That's their only culture that they have. And so we can put into the algorithm the medicine through their corrupted infrastructure, colonial infrastructure, to basically heal the entire world. It is a big prognosis of the circumstances plaguing our Mother Earth right now. But I don't see anybody else coming up with a diagnosis or prognosis or anything, even to prescribe a healing process. We're the only ones that's presenting it. The healing process is the two-row wampum. Everybody thinks they know what the two-row wampum is. If you think you know what the two-row wampum is, that means you don't. If you make that statement, I know what the two-row wampum is, you don't know what it is. I'll guarantee you. So right now you just say, I'm guaranteeing you, based on what? Based on the fact that the two-row wampum is based on what? What is the two-row wampum based on? Is it a thing all of its own? The two-row wampum is based on the great law of peace. Two-row wampum does not exist except for the existence first of great law of peace. So anybody who says they understand two-row wampum and they understand the concept and therefore they know how to work it or whatever, they don't know jack about it. Because if you're going to know anything about the two-row wampum, you got to know the great law of peace in its entirety. And if you're going to say you know the great law of peace, then we all know you're a liar, whoever you are. Because it's a guarantee that you do not know it. That's a guarantee. Because the only people who could know the great law of peace are the people who are the descendants of the Five Nations Longhouse Confederacy. And I know them. And they're all a bunch of Christian Handsome Lakers. They're all represented under Haudenosaunee, which is the band system, which is the British Commonwealth. They are the artificial. This is the Haudenosaunee. They're artificial. They're not the reality. So, in the big agenda of stopping the wars on Earth and everything else that we discussed tonight, and artificial intelligence and everything that is plaguing humanity, that is trying to streamline humanity, which means there's a clear cut going on, a culling. They killed a lot of people in Palestine. They're going to kill a lot of people in Iran now. They kill a lot of people so far in Venezuela and on the waters. Maybe not as many compared to what was killed in Palestine and what's going to be killed in Iran, but that amount is exponentialized by the amount of people that actually shuts up. So here, if you kill a few people in Venezuela, it'll shut up the whole country. You kill a few people in Mexico, it'll shut up the whole country. So this is the reason why they did not invade Cuba, because there it's going to be different. They will activate them if they try to culling in Cuba. So instead, they try a different kind of culling. It's a technological culling. It's a squeezing, strangulation of the lifeline of technology that has kept Cuba alive. Now, that's, as we know, that's the oil from Venezuela. That's the oil. No, they're not having it. No, they're not doing it. Mexico even turned their back on Cuba, even though they They make it look like to some degree that they're trying to help, but they can't do anything because of the Monroe Doctrine. So the Monroe Doctrine doesn't have to have a direct assault on Cuba. All they have to do is bureaucratically shut them down. Close off. Bureaucratically meaning, tell that shipping company there that they can't go there anymore. And that shipping company listens. They don't have to have a military skirmish for like that shipping company to maybe get bombed or whatever to get them to say, oh, okay, we're not going to do it. All they got to do is be told. And they comply. So what this Polyev said today is a key to the solution for the entire earth. But him, just being ridiculous as to what he is he made a statement on the opposite side to in a negative fashion. We can use that negative to turn it into a positive. He can't turn his negative into a positive. Only we can. So anyways, this is the developing agenda that's happening all around us. And we could say it's not necessarily an agenda or a plan that was conceived somewhere. It's a plan that's conceived as a result of actions that are taken, which means then it's a response. So it's a response in a way of like the way somebody who's in martial arts would respond to somebody who wants to start a fight with them. You don't just come out, okay, I start chopping them up in karate chops and stuff. Yeah, I can kick your butt. No, you use their energy against them. You use their own violence, their own violent energy. Not for you to be violent. You don't have to. They bring their violence and you just use their inertia against them for them to take themselves down. That's the agenda that is building. That's what the two-row wampum with the Great Law of Peace identifies. And this is what, from this house, what the agenda is. How it's being applied here. No one else on earth could apply this. No one else on earth can do it. Just us here in this house. And nobody else is going to conceive of this in Ganawagi to say, hey, yeah, let's extend the two-row wampum. They can't. They can't talk about it. Because you got to know Great Law of Peace to be able to talk about the two-row wampum. Okay, so, yeah, all of that. If there's nothing else then that anybody had to adjust or anything that we said we were going to adjust, and we'll close up for the evening. Okay, that's what we're going to do. We should be hearing from LifeGivers. They should be saying collective statements should be being made as to what's in your hearts and minds right now. What are you feeling? What's the sense of safety or insecurity that is being inflicted upon you? What's happening in this to the state of the world? LifeGivers, you've gotta do more than what you're doing. Yeah. You got to do a lot more than what you're doing. It's not enough right now. So everybody got to get on the ball. Yeah, okay. And I hope that not anybody's going to do that just because you hear me saying that. You should be doing that because you know, you can sense, you can detect, you're the one feeling this or feeling that. You should be saying, women all around the world should be making statements. Where's the collective statement from women about this school full of Iranian girls that was selected by the Junatid states to bomb them up? They were selected. It was not an accident because the weaponry that they have today is pinpoint precise technology. It's not something that can, oh, we meant it to go there, but it went over there. even just 12 feet away? No way. These are laser guided systems now today. Artificial intelligence assisted. So there's no way. It's impossible for there to be a mistake in such a way that for them to say, well, it was a casualty of war, like to say like it's an accident, that it was a school of girls that was bombed. No way. It's coming from the number one narcissist on the planet, the number one woman hater on the entire planet. And you look at his whole regime, they're a bunch of goddamn Nazis. His whole regime. Warmongering Nazis. What are you going to say about it? What are you going to do about it? It's not enough. What you aren't already doing, it's not enough. LifeGivers everywhere, you are the ones that should be screaming at the top of your lungs right now. Yous are the ones that should be saying everything that I just said tonight about even the things that you've got to prepare for. LifeGivers, women, yous are the ones that should be coming out and expressing these things. Guaranteed, you ain't going to hear this from any Native women. There ain't going to be nobody in Kahnawake coming out as Native women, as a woman, to come out and to say, hey, this is what's wrong in the world. This is what you're doing. This is what it means. This is what it's going to cause. You ain't going to get that from any woman in Kahnawake. They're all too busy playing the white man's game. So, I don't know. If you can arrange yourself with like-minded women, you got limited time. Very limited time before you're not even going to be able to have a voice any longer. So you better get into motion. Okay, we're going to close up. So let me see. Adjust the sound, right? Original sound for magicians. Okay.